Donald Trump Jr. with us this morning. Thank you for taking the time with us. And
I'm doing great, guys. How are you?
Well, we're doing well. Great to have you in today. Let's see. You've probably only done about 1 million interviews so far, and here you are on Election Day doing one with us, so we appreciate you taking the time this morning. What's your thought when you get up this morning? I mean, what are you thinking today that you haven't thought about the previous how many days you've been in this whole election campaign mode?
Well, I've been going pretty much nonstop for the last few months. I got in from Michigan at 3:30 in the morning and started basically at 5 a.m. Just getting it going. Listen, we're fighting for our country. We're fighting for our freedoms. We're fighting for a president who's delivered results. In Pennsylvania, I understand there's a long history of sort of blue-collar Democrat voters, but they got to look at today's Democrat Party and recognize that this isn't their grandparents' Democrat Party. It's not their parents' Democrat Party. This Democrat Party doesn't fight for hardworking men and women. This Democrat Party has been pushing trade deals like Joe Biden has endorsed over and over again. TPP, NAFTA, China's permanent status in the World Trade Organization, all of these things that took jobs out of Pennsylvania and sent them abroad. They're pushing for the Green New Deal. They want to eliminate the energy industry in America. That's not just national security, but it's millions and millions of jobs. They want to go into permanent lockdown. Donald Trump promised a V-shaped recovery coming out of this mess, and we got it. You saw that the other day with the GDP numbers, the highest ever recorded. Guess what? If the Democrats get another lockdown, those businesses that rebounded and are coming back so strong, they will close their doors and they will never open again. And you'll lose millions of jobs across the country. America can't afford that. So we've been on the ground. We've been all over the country because we have to bring our message directly to the people. We don't have the benefit of a mainstream media who will do our campaigning for us while we hide in a basement like Joe Biden. But Joe Biden has done so much damage to blue-collar America and hardworking jobs with the ridiculous policies that he's pushed. He's the most corrupted and compromised candidate in the history of the U.S. presidency. We're seeing all of that come out now, but really social media, mainstream media, big tech, they're doing whatever they can to suppress that because, these are all California Democrats. They want to control all of this stuff. They want a Democrat to win, and they're willing to run someone who could be that candidate, most corrupt ever, as president just to get rid of Donald Trump, who, again, took on the trade deals. He renegotiated NAFTA, gave us the USMCA to bring jobs back. He took on China, got a trade deal done with them. He's pulling us out of the endless wars. He's getting peace deals done in the Middle East. He's taking on big pharma and the establishment. Donald Trump is fighting for working-class Americans, and what I see on the ground is incredible when I'm around Pennsylvania. I did a bunch of stops there this weekend. If those guys turn up and vote, and they vote big, will negate the gamesmanship that you see going on in Philadelphia and these kind of areas. That's why we need to win big, and we need to get everyone out and voting. And vote like your freedom depends on it, because it does. When you think about the suppression that they've been able to do with big tech, our First Amendment rights are on the table. It's not just the Second anymore.
We're talking with Donald Trump Jr. this morning here on WSBA. Donald, I want to do something for a second here. You talk about Donald Trump in kind of like a third person, but you're Donald Trump Jr. I mean, that's quite a moniker to be carrying around in this country. And you're his son. Have you had a moment with your dad during this time where you just said, you know what, this is a moment that no one else is going to have? Have you had a moment like that anywhere along the campaign trail where you've just said, you know what, this guy's a special guy to me?
Well, not really, because, again, we don't have the benefit of the mainstream media campaigning for us. So, if he's in a room, I'm somewhere else. It'd be great to be able to spend a little bit more time with him. We did have a little bit of that last night coming back on Air Force One after that final rally in Michigan at 1 a.m. Right. We had some minutes to catch up, but the reality is if he's somewhere, I need to be somewhere else. Once he's in a room, it sort of creates a vacuum. You don't need me. I need to be bringing the message to other places, and that's why I've been basically traveling the country for the last 3 months, just getting that word out there.
How do you, we've always elected presidents based on what they did. And obviously, anytime you have an incumbent president, it's a referendum on what he did over the last 4 years. A lot of people say, well, we don't like Donald Trump's personality, some of the people who have voted against him. But, even though some of the policies maybe are things that we kind of agree with, how do you get that message to people that it's a policy that you want to look at, even if you don't particularly like a person or with the way they particularly react sometimes? Your thoughts about that?
Hey, I agree. Listen, I get it. Now, when people are like, well, he's a little too aggressive on that, I go, well, maybe that's why we're getting things done. Maybe that's why we're getting out of the endless wars, because he's willing to take on the establishment that wants to stay there so that they can get their retirement package at War Inc., get a board seat at Raytheon, why we're getting peace deals done in the Middle East. But also, what I think people also have to understand is when you look at Donald Trump's accomplishments and then you look at the media coverage of everything that he's done, I mean, 96% negative coverage throughout, just a promises made, promises kept sort of agenda. You have them calling him an agent of Russia for 4 years. Now that it's actually known, there's 10,000 times more evidence that Joe Biden is corrupted by these foreign entities. There's receipts, there's hard drives, there's actual wire transfers, there's witnesses that are naval intelligence officers. But it's as though it didn't happen. With Donald Trump, they called him an agent of Russia for 4 years. They spent 3 years trying to put me in jail. They accused me of doing a small fraction of the stuff that Hunter Biden's been doing rampantly all over the world for years now, making millions and millions, probably tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars. We'll never know because they'll never look at it. So, for the people that maybe he's too tough, look at the results. Look at what he's been able to deliver for America, the achievements, and then also look at the perspective that, maybe you'd be a little grumpier than you'd like to be if they did that to you, if they spent years attacking your family, literally trying to jail them while totally ignoring actual criminality.
Let me ask you this question.
And covering it up, because that would put me in a different mindset as well.
Let me ask you this question. We've got about a minute and a half, and I know you're on a really tight time schedule today. Why do all this? In other words, here's a guy could walk away from this. Your family could walk away from this. You're going to be fine. Why do this? Why go through this torture every day for the last three and a half, almost 4 years, and then go through all this right now and all the things you just mentioned? Why go through it? About a minute left.
Because it's worth it. Because our country is worth it. Our freedoms are worth it. He loves his grandkids and his kids. He wants them to grow up in an America that we recognize. And when you look at the platforms of the radical left, Joe Biden's beholden to them, right? Joe Biden's no moderate. You're not a moderate with Kamala Harris as your VP. You're not a moderate saying we're going to end the oil and gas industry. You're not a moderate confiscating AR-15s. You're not a moderate adopting the Green New Deal and Bernie Sanders' platform. They're using Joe Biden as the camouflage to bring that in, to push that radical leftist agenda in there. This is, like I said, it's not your grandparents' Democrat Party anymore. This is a radical leftist party. We are fighting for America, for American freedoms. And Donald Trump's been complaining about government for a long time. He's been throwing stones from the sideline. He finally said, hey, I got to get in and fix this. I got to go right the wrongs that the incompetent bureaucrats like Joe Biden has been putting into the books for decades, making trillion-dollar decisions, mortgaging our children's futures and their lives by someone who has no business making these decisions. Again, ask your viewers to name a single Joe Biden accomplishment. The only one that Joe Biden even talks about is his crime bill, which put people away for 30 years for nonviolent offenses, destroyed their lives, and left a lot of other kids growing up in fatherless households, which probably did a lot of damage to their futures as well. That's his only accomplishment. If you can't name a Joe Biden accomplishment after 47 years, isn't that part of the problem?
We're right at the end of our time here. Very quickly, prediction for tonight from what you've seen on your interpolls.
Listen, if our guys get out and they turn up and vote, and they vote like their freedoms depend on it, which they do, I think we win big.
All right. Donald Trump Jr. with us this morning. Thank you for taking the time with us, and good luck out in the campaign trail today.
Thanks, guys.